Good morning, friends and neighbors, and thanks for joining us here at Red Rock Firewood. Today we are going to be processing this pile of tree service ash. It's actually going to be over a couple days, but it's going to be in one video. And I just messing around with kind of some ideas, developed a technique that I wanted to share with you. I'm going to be using a deck made out of pallets that you can see here, loading it with that John Deere tractor. And I found that it works really well to pull the rounds off of that pallet onto the working surface of the splitter, and then just toss it into that bin. So here we're on the John Deere tractor, and we're scooping up some logs. When I hauled this wood into my wood yard from the tree service wood yard, I transported my tractor into that location and use that to kind of manipulate stuff, get it out of the piles. And I just got everything small enough that I could haul it home in my wood cart that you see there in the background of that shot, and my pickup truck. So everything is small enough that this little tractor will lift it, but not really much smaller than that. So I'm sorting out the larger diameter logs, which here there are a few small diameter ones mixed in, but they just went along for the ride, no extra charge. And then there are some, we'll see it coming up here soon. Some of the base of this ash tree was really big, and so there were some rounds in the wood yard that were just huge that I wound up ripping, or what some people call noodling, and so we'll be picking up a couple of those and putting on the deck here also. And it saved me from having to rip them down into pieces small enough that I could lift by hand. Here's that coming up. So I did have to rip these just to make them safe to handle and to get them small enough that my tractor could lift them, but they're still larger than what I would feel comfortable lifting by hand. There's probably, some of you muscle-bound guys out there that would lift them that size. And this one is probably a poor example. This one you probably could lift. There were some other ones that were significantly larger, and I just didn't want to deal with it. Here I'm loading some more logs. This is another shot from later in the week. It actually took me Monday through Friday. I started this project on Monday, wrapped it up on Friday, and just working at it a few hours in the morning. But here I'm putting I loaded a chunk up on the front because it doesn't need attention with the chainsaw, and then I'm putting these logs here on the back because on the back end of the deck it'll be easier to access them, and I'll be able to cut them to length with the chainsaw and then just work them directly over onto the splitter without touching them again. So here's a couple more examples of some. That first one was a larger chunk. I wouldn't lift it. If I was going to have to do it by hand, I would rip it again. This one I could lift. I'd have to grunt pretty hard. My eyeballs would probably shoot out of my head. So moving it with the tractor is great. And then you'll see here, I think coming up, I'm going to put a log in here on the backside. And again, this log's probably small enough. I feel I could probably lift those rounds. But it gives me the benefit. It gets the log up at a really nice working height for chainsawing, and I don't have to worry about hitting the ground. Now I do have to be intentional about where the nails are in my pallet, and so I don't want to cut down through into a nail. That would be not good for the old chainsaw chain. But it's relatively easy to kind of eyeball it and just manipulate the log, and yeah, it just worked out. I was not cutting down where the nail heads were. And so this just made it easy, just really easy on the back. Standing up straight, cutting down through, not worrying about the ground. And yeah, it made for easy work. We'll see that in another angle here in just a minute. It's gonna look like I'm changing clothes. That's just the result of this taken. I filmed this over several days, and I was gonna kind of bring you along on the journey of just processing the whole load of wood, but I don't know, that got a little lengthy and I got bored doing it, so I figured if I was bored, my audience would be bored. So I just took this footage and decided to use it to tell the story of this little kind of homemade deck. And there's nothing special about this deck, they're just pallets. And I just stacked up as many as I need to be just a shade higher than the working surface on my wood splitter. I tried to pick out ones that were a little more solid, you know, so they wouldn't smash when I'm scooping logs up and putting on them. But here I've got a bunch of logs that are all together. Okay, and here you can see this is the first shot of manipulating around over onto the splitter. You can see the deck is just a little bit taller, and that worked out well. Here's another angle, kind of a similar deal. Again, I could pick that round up off the ground, but having it up there so I can chainsaw it off the ground, you know, without having to kind of bend over and all that stuff, and then just having them right there so they just roll right onto the splitter. Yeah, just worked great. When I'm editing these videos, I realize how slow my splitter is. And so I am saving my pennies for something different. I'm really looking at the Wolf Ridge Rapid Split. Wolf Ridge isn't too far away from us here in Iowa, so that'd be a possibility. I've got this round broken into halves, and you'll see having that deck, that auxiliary deck back there, just gives me a little more space to kind of spread out the pieces. Here I'm using a hookaroon that I've got, and even though that round was over there a ways, it was easy to hook it and manipulate it and get it to roll. Here's a relatively big chunk. Must have been hotter this day. And this one's kind of wedge shaped. It was a huge ash tree, and so I'm just peeling off chunks at the end, getting them down to the finished size that I want. It's amazing when it's nice and straight grain like this. You're just basically splitting dimensional lumber, and it's a beautiful thing. If you split a lot of wood, you know what I'm talking about. Let's see, we work at this here for a little bit, then we jump to whatever's next. Let's see, looking for the hookaroon. Where did we put it? Yeah, there we go. You do need to be cautious. As you can see, the gas engine on my log splitter is kind of in a dangerous spot. So you want to make sure that you're very intentional about not letting a round or a chunk get away from you and bouncing off the engine of your wood splitter. That would be bad. But we were fortunate on this run, and it worked out really well. Okay, this is a humongous chunk, and there is no way I would be able to lift this up. I would at least have to knock this in half again, maybe 2 more times to get it down to where I would feel comfortable lifting it. And I was able to pick it up with the tractor, get it on the wood splitter, and just start whittling it down with the wood splitter. Now, my wood splitter does have the option that I can put it in the vertical position and split that way, but I do not care for using it in that format, in that layout, so to speak. You're basically on the ground, you know, trying to manhandle and wrestle around giant rounds. And I do have a cant hook, and that helps. And I've done it before where I use the forks on the tractor to lift the rounds and kind of place them under the splitter, but you know, then you're still using the tractor, and it takes time, and you're on and off the tractor and everything else, and it just, to me, it works way more efficiently to have it set up like this. I'm standing up straight, I'm not bending over working on the ground at my feet, and I really like it. And I've got this sped up here. I think in the original footage it took me about 8 minutes to completely split this giant chunk that I had on there, and yeah, I really think it would have taken me more time than that, and certainly more effort to have done that kind of the traditional way with the chainsaw. Here I am moving the splitter down. My bin's getting full, and so I need to move down. So this is just kind of giving you an idea. I just back my splitter up there to the bin, get my hookaroon out of the way, and then here in a minute we'll scoop up the pallets with the tractor. Oh, I deleted that footage. Okay, well, sorry about that. I moved the pallets over, and here I'm just showing you. Obviously, there was a lot of wood in this processing effort that it was small enough it wasn't worth fooling with scooping it up and putting it on the live deck. So I'm just showing you, I did do a bunch of the wood kind of what we would call the old-fashioned way, where I'm just cutting it to length on the ground. I did use my tractor and forks to kind of push them up on a pile so that I didn't have to walk so far to pick them up, and that was a help. And this stuff is small enough that it wouldn't have been efficient use of time to scoop it up and put it on the deck. It's easier, these little guys, it's easier just to pick up and put them up there, and you can do that, and it works great. Some of those bigger ones, I do think using the deck was more efficient. In an upcoming video, I'm probably going to, I want to experiment with, rather than kind of hauling the stuff home from the tree service wood yard and just dumping it off in a kind of sprawling pile, I'm going to try going right off of my trailer and right off of my truck onto the wood splitter. I was able to purchase a trailer of my own, so it's going to be easier for me to take my tractor back and forth to the wood service or tree service wood yard, and so I won't feel like I need to just haul and haul and haul home as fast as I can in order to make this whole system work. I wanted to get my tractor home as quick as I could, and I was borrowing a trailer to transport my tractor around. So I just hauled home, dumped stuff off, and now I'm kind of working through those piles. I've got some oak, and I've also got some locust that I need to process that way. But yeah, the next experiment will be just working off the back of the truck, and that'll save the step of, then I'll only be scooping it up once. So I'll scoop it up once, it'll be in the back of the truck. I'll use the Harbor Freight unloader to bring it to the rear of the truck and right off of the truck onto the splitter into the bin, and I think that'll even be more efficient than what this is. But bringing it home in a big pile is what works best for this time, and we'll keep tweaking it and adjusting things and go from there. That's all I have for today. Thanks for joining us at Red Rock Firewood, and we'll talk again soon. Bye for now.